for next year. Let's move on and talk about GNFC. That is the big mover. It's up 8.5%. They've reported a stellar set of Q4 earnings led by the chemicals segment, revenue growth of 60%, margin expansion of nearly 500 basis points to 32%, and profit after tax is doubled. Pankaj Joshi, the managing director at GNFC, Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizer and Chemicals, now joins in. Morning, sir, and thanks so much for joining in. First, if you could tell us by how much have prices gone up in the last few quarters for acetic acid, TDI, as well as aniline?
Thank you, Rima, for inviting me to the show. The total in the last 2 quarters in most of our chemicals, the prices have gone up by around 30 to 40%.
Okay. All right. So most chemicals have gone up by 30 to 40%. Mr. Joshi, firstly, I wanted to congratulate you. You know, we spoke at the end of Q3, and I was asking you, what about the margins? Can you hold on to this? You came back and you said we'll be able to hold on to it. Maybe we could do a little bit better. So you managed to do that. So congratulations on that front. However, crude prices have spiked up. Crude derivatives prices as well have spiked up. So what should be the margin band? You know, for the entity on the whole, you did around 32% in the past quarter. So what is the margin outlook from here on?
On the chemicals space, 70% of our revenue comes from the chemical space and 30% of our revenue comes from the fertilizer space. So in the chemical space, there is still some buoyancy. And some of our chemicals like ammonium nitrate, ethyl acetate, EGU, nitrobenzene, nitric acids, and methyl formate. We see a lot of buoyancy in these chemicals, and we hope that we will continue to maintain the margins which we showed in the last quarter.
So 32% plus is what you will do for sure, is what you estimate as of now.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk a bit about the fertilizer segment and the outlook there? Because especially because of the Russia issue, gas prices have gone up, ammonia prices have also inched up. What does it mean for the industry and your company?
Yeah, the fertilizer, we make urea. Our urea production is around 6.5 lakh ton every year. And as you know, like urea is a regulated entity, and of late, like the price of a bag of urea has not been increased from rupees 266 and 50 paisa. So the price has stabilized, and government has increased the subsidy allocation for the companies manufacturing urea as a fertilizer. Our another fertilizer which we make is a mixed fertilizer, which is known by the brand name of Narmada Phos. And it is 20-20-00, that is 20% nitrogen and 20% phosphorus. And recently, government has announced additional subsidy allocation for the mixed fertilizer. And I'm very happy to share that the subsidy, which was around the 13,000 rupees per ton, in case of our fertilizer, that is Narmada Phos fertilizer, has now been increased by 20,000 to around 33,000 per ton. So a bag of Narmada Phos, which had a subsidy of around 650 rupees, has been raised to 1,650 rupees. That is almost by 1,000 rupees. So there is huge government of India support. The subsidy support has gone up. Yeah. And even the timely release of subsidies has also helped. At one point of time, like our total spending subsidy used to be more than 1,000 crores. It has come down to less than 400 crores now.
Okay.
So with the revised NBS, which government has announced recently, which is applicable till 30th of September, we are quite hopeful that we'll be in a position to maintain our margins in the fertilizer space also.
Okay, all right. You're given a fair estimate about the fertilizer space, Mr. Joshi, but let's talk about the chemicals business. As you told us, bulk of your revenue comes from there. And the largest constituent, I think, is TDI. You know, that would be, I think, more than 50% or thereabouts. So give us a few details. One is on pricing. What was the average price, say, in Q4? And as of today, what is the average price of TDI? And then I'll come back to you with the other question on TDI. Go ahead.
Yeah, TDI is, we are basically into 10 basic chemicals, and TDI contributes maximum to our revenue in the chemical space. So during last financial year, the total revenue from TDI was more than 1,000 crores. So the average price of TDI is around 2,74,000 in the last quarter.
And as of today, how much is it?
It's 2,74,000.
So it was 2,74,000 in Q4, and as of today as well, it's around the same level. Is that correct?
It's around 2,80,000.
Okay, all right. Just one more question on the TDI facility. You have TDI 1. I think we are increasing capacity out there. So by when does that capacity get increased? And TDI2, you had gone ahead and increased capacity, I think by around 20%. Was that functioning at full utilization levels? Wanted a sense on utilization levels of the TDI facility. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have TDI1 plant in our Bharuch, and the capacity of TDI1 is around 10,000 metric ton. The annual capacity is around 10,000 metric ton. We had TDI2 plant in Dahej, which has a capacity of 50,000 annual capacity of 50,000 metric ton. Recently, we have enhanced the capacity of TDI2 plant at Dahej, and now the capacity around 60,000. And the capacity utilization, as you rightly mentioned, is around 80 to 85%.
Mr. Joshi, give and take everything. What is your expectation of how FY23 is going to shape up for you? Do you see it to be as strong as FY22 when you had a growth of about 60%? Give us your estimate.
See, for a company like GNFC, the commodity price plays a very important role. So our major raw material cost is fuel oil and the natural gas. So lot will depend on how volatile the pricing would be in case of natural gas and fuel oil. If the prices sustain and there is less volatility, so we expect a similar result in FY23 also.
Okay, acetic acid. How much does that contribute to your total revenues? I ask you this because the customs duty was reduced, right, from around 10 to around 5%, and you are one of the only producers of acetic acid. So how much did it contribute, and has it had an impact on your business? Go ahead.
Yeah, see, acetic acid, we are the only producer of acetic acid in the country, and we produce around 15% of the total demand. So 85% of the domestic requirement is imported. So basically, we are competing with the importers. And the prices of late, so far as acetic acid is concerned, is coming down. The prices were more than 50,000 couple of months back. They have come down to around 44,000 rupees. So there is some pressure in the pricing so far as acetic acid is concerned.
Okay, so that's having a bit of an impact then on business, because imports as well, the 85% they could go up as well. Is that correct?
Right.
All right. Final question. What about Capex for this year? You have, I think, mentioned in your press release that you have around 2,900 to 3,000 crores of Capex. How do you fund it? And in FY23, how much of Capex will you incur? Go ahead.
Yeah, see, so far as Capex is concerned, recently we have commissioned 2 projects. One is we have enhanced the capacity of TDI2, as I mentioned some time back. We have also enhanced the capacity of our formic acid plant also. And there are 2 projects which are at a very advanced stage. One is the enhancement of the capacity of the concentrating nitric acid by another 50,000 metric ton. And we are also setting up a 4 megawatt solar plant. So these 2 projects are likely to happen sometime, likely to commission by the end of October. So we are also working on 4 other projects basically. One is the enhancement of the ammonia capacity by 50,000 metric ton, enhancement of weak nitric acid capacity by another 2 lakh metric ton. We are also setting up a new ammonium nitrate melt plant with a capacity of around 1.5 lakh metric ton. And we are also looking up to set up a new concentrated nitric acid plant with a capacity of 50,000 metric ton. As we mentioned in our press release, we are looking at setting up of a polycarbonate plant costing around 2,500 crores. And we are also looking at setting up of a green hydrogen plant.
Mr. Joshi, we have that release with us. We just want to know how much will you incur in FY23? If you could give us that number and how will you fund it? Go ahead.
Yeah, FY23, I'm looking at spending around 500 crores, and the funding will be made good from the internal accruals.
Got it.
All right, Mr. Joshi, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us. GNFC saying the Capex plans for this year are 500 crores, which will be funded via internal accruals. For the markets, we're now down about 40 points. So after that early morning rebound, we've slipped a bit. The Sensex down close to about 110 points. Reliance Industries at the low point. That slipped close to about 1.5%. And a couple of pharmaceutical names like Sun Pharma as well as Apollo Hospitals. Get into a break on that note. On the other side,